This is Comedy from the Middle of Nowhere. I am Scott Ecker, the only late-night host to wear a leather jacket. Today we are interviewing local stand-up comedian Michelle Pearson. Michelle is all over the place in stand-up comedy right now, and she's here to talk about it. Hope you enjoy. So you're doing stand-up locally. I used to do stand-up like a lot, and then I stopped and I moved, but like since I've moved, like I'm seeing a lot on Facebook, and it seems to be like kind of different. Like people seem to be really accepting and working together and pushing each other. Like there's a lot going on that seems really exciting, and on Facebook I keep seeing like your name tagged in, you know, going on this road trip with Michelle for this comedy gig, or here, Michelle did great this night. So I didn't know you until a few weeks ago, but you keep coming up as like a current Fargo stand-up. So are you enjoying it?
I am absolutely loving it so far. I just started in October, and so far it's been one of the greatest things I've ever done, is getting involved in stand-up comedy. I've made so many friends and met a lot of people, and like you're saying, the community has been like incredibly inviting. And I'm getting like a lot of opportunities to get out and do stuff that I usually wouldn't. Like I wouldn't have gone to CoreCon this past weekend if not for the fact that I was on the show, and I wouldn't have met a lot of the people that I've met so far. So I absolutely love it. I can't even stress that enough. Like,
so what started you out? Why did you want to try it?
Well, I've loved stand-up comedy for my entire life. Like I don't even remember what age I was when I first started watching Comedy Central, but I started watching it a lot. I remember very vividly when I was about 10 or so watching Dane Cook stand up for the first time, and he's just really loud and rambunctious, and I remember running back to my mom and trying to quote lines at her, and she yelled at me because I was waking my baby brother. So ever since I was young, I've just been really into it, and then this past October, I just had a lot of free time. I've known some of the stand-up comics just because I've been showing up to open mics just to watch for like 3 years. I've been like a fan for a long time, and then I just got up on stage one day, spilled my drink walking up onto the stage. I was like, it can't get worse than this, and then just kept coming back because I love that feeling of like the applause as soon as I got off stage, or like laughter where I expected it to be, and it's just it was fantastic, and it's very addicting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that first time I was hooked, and I just kept coming back.
Well, it's great. That sounds like you're getting laughter and audience reactions. That doesn't always happen. I mean, I've gone through many shows with no response whatsoever. That's tough.
I had one of those very recently.
They never stop. Like it's
It makes you better though, at least, which is good, because then you're like, okay, well this kind of hurts, and we'll improve from that.
So you're doing the open mics in town, right? So, and currently we have New Direction and Red Raven, which you co-MC with James Segerson, right?
I just became a co-MC.
Nice. How do you like emceeing?
It's an entirely different approach to comedy. I think it's kind of like being an actor in a play, but then directing one day. Like they're two entirely different things, even though they're the same environment. It's very, very different. I feel like I can't like pay attention to people as much when I'm on stage. Like I'm more in like kind of a director mindset, like trying to get things going and keeping track of time and making sure the audience is hyped up in between each person. So it's very different, because usually open mics I just show up to like enjoy myself, do my time, do as best as I can. But when I MC, it's mostly about making sure everybody else does as well as they can, and I'm just there to keep things going.
Yeah, and you're the one in the position that has to cover for people when it doesn't go well, and bring the audience back up, or that's always fun.
Yeah, so it's very, very different, but I like it. It's another aspect altogether.
It's a great skill set. It's necessary to get, you know,
gotta pay your dues.
Absolutely. And then we also have Pickled Parrot,
which I'm temporarily co-hosting now until Amir comes back at the end of the summer. So that's another one that I'm doing.
And that's kind of like all these places are different, and then Courtney's on Thursday, which I do like that there's different audiences for each one, different atmospheres. Like Pickled Parrot is a drinking atmosphere where the audience is very, you know, different. The comics are very rambunctious, but
very different from Courtney's, where you have like more of a sophisticated crowd that came out to like
Yeah.
see a comic do well.
Mhm.
Whereas the Parrot, they came out to see their friends, and there's also comedy happening,
Yeah.
but they're both good in
Mhm.
their own ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that it's not just the same experience every night. You're getting to. And do you do all of the open mics every week, or do you have that luxury? Because
For the most part, I've been mostly getting all 4 open mics into my
That's
schedule. It's been incredibly stressful, but I feel like it's one of those things I need to do. I need to keep being dedicated.
yeah,
Lately, I've been having to skip like 1 open mic a week just
Mhm.
because work has been kind of hectic,
It's
and I'm
tough.
just
yeah,
also doing my day job, so trying to get everything in. But for the most part, since I started in October, I've missed like a minimum amount of open mics.
yeah.
And usually if I miss one, it's because I'm out doing a show someplace else,
Yeah.
or like traveling with somebody to do a show.
Mhm.
So it's very nice that I get to
Mhm.
have my job, but then also do open mics. And
Yeah,
then try
which
to-
can be a full-time job in itself
Exactly.
to try and be a stand-up and
Yep, it feels like I'm working a part-time job.
yeah, absolutely.
At least it's one that I enjoy, so
That's
I have
good.
that.
Yeah, that's great. So the trips you've been going on, have you been going for some of these?
Well, mostly I've been just tagging along with Jana Severson
Mhm.
to things that she's done. She's gone to, she had a House of Comedy competition
Yeah.
at, I guess House of Comedy.
In the
mall.
cities.
Yep, in the Mall of America. So I went with that for her very first round, and then the semifinals. We're going on another trip to Duluth very soon, and I'm just very honored that she lets me come along because I still get to meet like her kind of people. Like I met
Yeah.
a lot of comics from the cities. I never met any before. The only trip that I've really gone on, well, I guess I've gone on 2 trips that were because of like my own comedy, and that was I went to Stanley, North Dakota, hosted for Will Spotted Bear and Joe
Yeah.
Christensen, both very talented
Mhm.
guys, and it was an amazing show. Like they
Yeah.
loved us out there, and I was very happy with it. And then they had the Roadhouse in, I believe it's Lake Park, Minnesota.
Okay.
It's,
Oh, yeah.
it's in that
Mhm.
vicinity. It's like
Yeah,
in the
a half
country
hour,
though, so
yeah.
yeah, I think it technically counts as Lake Park,
Mhm.
but that was the very first show they did up there. So
Okay.
got to travel an hour and just
Mhm.
kind of have like a fun
Yeah.
set with a bunch of my friends. So that was cool.
Well, it's great that there are those opportunities
Mm-hmm.
available because they are different beasts than open mics. And I
Yeah.
mean, as necessary as open mics are, and you don't want to do too much too early,
Mm-hmm.
you do need to kind of experiment with other things too.
Yeah, like you have to pace yourself. Like I've been doing this since October and still know I can't feature for anybody yet.
And that's great that you
know your
rec-
limits.
that's great that you recognize that because a lot of stand-ups don't.
Yeah.
And I know that from me not knowing that and thinking, right off the bat, okay, I can do more now than I actually can.
It would be awesome to be able to feature, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm just gonna go up there and bomb if I do.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's great you recognize that
yeah.
the likelihood of that, but also the time it takes, and it sounds like you're putting time in.
Yeah, and it takes a long time to be good enough to have 30 minutes of good material that people are willing to pay for, and I'm not there yet.
But it sounds like you keep going towards that, and
Yeah.
that's really important.
I really want to be
Yeah.
at least a feature entertainer.
Mhm.
That's my goal.
Yeah, that's great. So, but you've been on like bills for local shows, like the aquarium
Yep.
ones. You've done those.
Yep, I did the most recent showcase because there's only been one since I really started. I think there was one in like November, but I was brand new. So I've been the only showcase that happened at the aquarium since I started. I was just at CoreCon and I did I did 3 sets at CoreCon plus a panel, which was awesome. It was so fantastic.
What was the panel?
The panel was CoreCon Against Humanity. So do you know what Cards Against Humanity is?
Yeah, absolutely. Love that
It's
game.
basically
Apples to
apples
apples for terrible people.
Yeah, X-rated. And we decided to do CoreCon Against Humanity. And they just kind of, I was walking down the hallway, and this girl came running up and she grabbed me. She's like, "You're one of the funny people, right?" And I'm like, "I'd like to think I am." And she's like, "You should be on our panel." So then I grabbed Jana because she was with me. I'm like, "Let's go do this panel. What are we doing?" So they had us basically sit down and they just had us write down the topic part of it with like a blank, and then throughout the panel we'd just go down the line and just each read out one topic, and people would shout stuff out, and it was hilarious. Like it was an absolute blast, and it was some of the answers people were coming up with were just so good.
And you're good with spontaneity when people yell out things like that. That's good,
It
that's
was
good.
so funny, and it was recorded, so I'm hoping I get to see
Awesome.
that footage someday.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not sure when this is gonna edit and air and all that, so I'm sure you'll have several more
Oh, yeah.
things in between that,
Of
which is
course,
exciting.
yeah.
You've gone to Courtney's. Have you ever done guest sets there and met the comics? Or?
I did one guest set. It was one of the last ones right before they ended for this season.
Yeah.
They're still doing the open mic throughout the summer,
Yeah.
but they stopped doing features and headliners. So I did my very first guest set, and it went very, very well.
Good.
I wasn't expecting that because I'm always a little bit nervous when I get
Yeah.
on stage, but I was very nervous. And like with my first joke, people loved it, and then you just get that momentum going, and people really liked it. So the one guest that I've done, it was really well. Now I've started hosting for the summer though, so I'm hoping I'll get like more opportunity to do stage time at Courtney's this upcoming winter, and hopefully become one of their hosts for when they have features.
Yeah, I mean, if you're emceeing the open mic,
Exactly.
yeah, that's
I'm
great.
hoping.
Well, that's one of the reasons why you build that MC skill, so you can get to know other comics.
Exactly.
And a lot of the ones that come in from the cities or all over the country are really interesting and
Oh, yeah.
really funny guys.
They're very fascinating
Yeah.
people who come through Courtney's. It's a very diverse crowd, and luckily I've gotten to meet a huge chunk of them through open mics.
Yeah.
Because some of them are nice enough to stay at the open mic, maybe give feedback to people who are newer and things.
Yeah.
And you just get like a really like broad range of people who come through there. It's very
Yeah.
fascinating to like talk to all the different people from different
Yeah.
backgrounds.
And since this will probably air in August or September,
Yeah.
Courtney's, their season will start again in September, right? And
I believe so. I know it's in the fall sometime. I
Okay.
want to say September,
Yeah.
but I'm not.
yeah,
100%
but
sure.
it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yep.
Saturday has 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock
It's, oh
shows.
gosh,
and-
it's been a while since I had to think of this. Thursday's show is at 8, and then there's an open mic afterwards, unless they change it
Yeah.
for that. Friday, I believe is, I'd say like 8 and 10:30, I feel. Because I feel like it's 8 and 10:30, and then Saturday would be the same.
Yeah.
I think it's 8 and 10:30 for Friday and Saturday.
I just want to make sure we're plugging Courtney's
Yeah, of
because
course.
first off, it's great we have a comedy club in the area that's been around so long, but also for people who want to try
Yep.
stand up or want to get more serious about it, see the shows, do guest sets, do the open mic, like that's an important part, thing to be a part of.
Exactly, and Courtney's is, that's the first open mic in Fargo I ever went to.
Nice.
And that was 3 years ago, so it'll always have like a place in my heart because
Yeah.
Thursdays I was always incredibly excited to go to Courtney's, and then that was back when they were doing the open mic beforehand, so I was
Okay.
excited to see the new people come out and try out their new things and know that maybe someday they'd be getting somewhere, and I was there at the beginning.
Yeah. And we're seeing some of that. I mean, Amel released his second CD.
Yeah,
That's
Amel
incredible.
was
I mean, he's a great comic.
Yeah, we have a lot of very, very talented people.
Yeah,
in the
Jamie
comedy.
Kilgore is traveling places. It's
Well Spotted there,
Mhm.
and it's
Nick
awesome.
Raphael, yeah.
Yep, Nick and Matt and Jana, they're all just incredible.
yeah, Matt and Bobby as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. You were also part of the Comedy Brawl, right? You were
yeah.
able to place in that. So-
I got to the finals, which is really
That's
they
good,
eliminated
yeah.
half of us. So.
Mhm, yeah. So
This is the
explain.
second half.
Yeah. What was? So I wasn't here when the Comedy Brawl happened. I was away at college, but I saw so much on Facebook. I kind of, again through Facebook, sensed this excitement about it.
Yeah, the Comedy Brawl was absolutely, oh my gosh, I hope that it becomes the annual thing that they were talking about becoming, because it was such a huge event, and I haven't performed in front of a crowd that large
Yeah.
ever. I think when I went on stage it was about like 200 or 250. There were a lot of people there both nights.
Yeah.
So having like that much of a crowd, you're gonna get a great reaction, because even if only 10% of the people like what you're doing, that's still more than most people who show up to open mics. So I mean, you're still gonna get a great response. And then the fact that I made it to the finals, like I was so happy, I cried. Like it was awesome, and being there like with my friends, it wasn't so much a competition. It was just us showing people this is what we have to offer, and it was awesome. It's great because we're all friends, so nobody really got their feelings hurt. As far as I know.
No, but it is great to have that sort of validation when, I mean, you don't always get, I mean, it takes a lot of dedication to keep doing this to get good.
Oh yeah.
And something, that's great that there's an opportunity, but also like that was a paid event, right?
Yep. I believe it was $5 $5 at the door.
Okay, that's a good deal.
Exactly, and then they got tons of people, so it was...
Which is great to show that in Fargo there's a market for that. I mean, because you mentioned, having the day job, also this part-time job at night. So if we can do these experimental things or new, fresh ideas that can make money with comedy, that's great. That's good for everyone.
And it went really well. Plus, Amir Bikic and Eric Block, and I think Jay Rice was involved too, probably. They did such an excellent job of promoting it, and I think that's also why people were so excited about it, because we had posters made. It was mentioned at pretty much every open mic for like a month beforehand. There was Facebook stuff everywhere about it. My face was like on walls when I went to restaurants. I'm like, oh, this is weird.
So you want a poster for it?
Yeah, because all the finalists are finalists in the second half.
No, that's fine. You made it further than I've ever made it in anything. That's awesome.
It was fun,
Really
I had a good time.
So, are there any, where do you want Fargo comedy to go for you? Like, you mentioned featuring, like that.
I definitely want to become a feature. That's my goal right now. Eventually, I'm hoping years down the road I'll become a headliner and maybe even, tour like some of these guys are and everything, and get to travel more. For now, my goal is definitely become a feature, and I think I'm on the way. I have about 15, 20 minutes.
What's the longest that you've ever done?
Probably somewhere between 10 to 15. I don't know what the exact time was, but...
Yeah, for as long as you've been doing it, that's great to... that's a great place to be at. So.
It went well a couple times, but for the most part, I've been like 10 to 15 minutes, and then at the last showcase, it did not go well.
And again, that happens.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be prepared to just show up and do horrible, but for now, I want to get to a point where I'm featuring, and I want to become more part of the community that I am right now, because I enjoy co-hosting. I enjoy being a part of those events like the Comedy Brawl. I just want to be a very core member of this, because when people think of Fargo comedy and they know what Fargo comedy is, they think of people like Adam Quinnell, J.D. Provorst, Will Spotted, where they think of those people instantly. I want to someday become one of those names that people associate with this. When they think of an open mic, they're like, oh, I see that girl there every time. So.
Well, it sounds like you're there every time, and like I said, I had no idea who you were, but I kept seeing your name on Facebook and these other comics talking about you, and it seemed like you're a decent person, which doesn't always happen with comedy. So
that is very true. I try to be a decent person. I think that's also partially why I get so many opportunities. Not that I have a lot of them, but I get on shows and things is because I'm trying to be friendly to everybody, and you should always treat people nicely in the comedy scene, because you never know when they might help you, and plus it's good to be a good person.
Well, right now you've been talking about a lot of other people. You seem very giving and excited about what they're doing, so that's a great place to be, where it's not, I need to compete with these people and do better.
No competition. I just am very honored to know all these people. So.
That's great. Yeah, and they are a lot of great people. Just because I know there's a lot of audience members who go to a lot of open mics and shows and get to know comics. So I'd recommend that if, just for the audience members watching here, to just go to an open mic and get to know some of these people that are interesting. Sometimes good people.
Yeah, we're a very awkward group. So audience members, sometimes, I know back when I was an audience member, I was like, all these people seem kind of distant. Is it that they don't like me as an audience member? No,
they all have anxiety. We all have anxiety issues.
We're all very anxious and shy. I'm actually very shy, but I seem outgoing. I'm always scared.
Well, that's interesting that those are the people that do comedy. That it's not usually the life of the party or that person who's people like. For lack of a better phrasing, but it's the ones that need that, or at least for me, it was, I need to have people react to me. I need some way to communicate.
Exactly. It's very strange that so many of us are pretty introverted. I used to be an extrovert. I was an introvert when I started comedy, very introverted. I spent a lot of time playing video games. And it's just, I don't know why so many people are like that when we start comedy. I think there's just something with people are going to pay attention to us this way, and it's good when you have people who like you for doing something. And it's an opportunity to have people like you.
Well, and it's good that it shows that it's not cheap. That, you're not just doing it because it's an easy thing. You're actually putting work into it, and you have something at stake, and that's important to have stakes for whatever you do and that you care about it. So, that's great. So, yeah, is there any, other parting thoughts or anything you want to discuss?
You said this will air sometime in September, possibly?
Probably. We'll see how editing goes. We'll shoot some other material around it. It's, again, see as we go along.
Okay, in that case, I just tell everybody to show up to open mics, even if it's not to perform. We appreciate every time that there are audience members there. You can get to know some of us. We're all excellent people, no matter how weird we are. Since it's going to be a bit before this airs, I don't know what open mics will probably be going on. But I'm hoping New Direction Monday, Red Ribbon Tuesday, Wednesday's Pickled Parrot, Thursdays is Courtney. So I'm hoping those are still the same ones, but they can always check out Fargo Local Comedy
on Facebook.
On Facebook,
that's the page. Yeah, and they update that very consistently. You'll see
update all the time. It'll
local
tell
showcases, events. So that's great.
So we have a good community, and people should come out and support it.
I'm really happy to see that's going well and it's growing, and there's new people and old people still, and it's really exciting. And for a community like Fargo that's growing, I'm really happy that we have such a good comedy scene, and one that cooperates with the cities and other places where people are touring, but also other people travel to here to do comedy. So
it's really fantastic.
We'll see where it goes. I'm excited. So,
me too.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
And that was Michelle Pearson. Michelle has been all over doing comedy in North Dakota and Minnesota. But to find out more about when she's performing, make sure to like Fargo Local Comedy on Facebook. That'll keep you up to date with the various open mics and showcases going on. And also pay attention to Courtney's Comedy Club in Moorhead. They've got some really cool stand-up shows coming up this year. So, that was my interview with Michelle Pearson. I'm Scott Ecker, and I hope you learned something, but if not, I hope you had fun. Thanks. Bye.